Hey everyone, welcome to our first video. I'm really excited to be shooting this video for you guys today. Today we're just going to be featuring a Stretch Your Planner stamp set. We're going to use our own planner stamp set, which is called Scheduled, and we're going to use the little icons in the sets to make these note cards that I've already created for you today. I made some cards with the little heart icon. I've made a clustered note card that I am just absolutely in love with, but these are really great cards to mass produce because they didn't take me a long time at all. So now we're just going to start with the heart note cards using the little teeny tiny heart in the Scheduled set. Now I'm just going to position it onto my acrylic block like so. And I just have to position it a certain way because you're going to be stamping the hearts quite a lot, because it's the only stamp that you're really going to use in making these note cards. So you want to position it on your block where you'll have a comfortable grip. I'm going to start out with Sukaneko's Brilliance Pigment Ink in Pearlescent Purple. So I'm just going to take this tiny heart stamp and just stamp it in my pigment ink and literally just stamp the entire front of the note card in a polka dot pattern. So I'm going to start in the middle first and then kind of just stamp to the right of it and then to the left of it. As you can see here, I kind of messed up just a little bit. It's kind of out of alignment, but it's okay because I end up die cutting this card a little later. And even if I didn't, it's not a big deal because that's the beauty of these handmade cards, right? There are little imperfections, and when you see the entire card later on with the entire pattern, you don't notice it that much, and really these little imperfections just add to the whole handmade beauty of the card. So I am just stamping this heart in a polka dot pattern. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit here because once you see how I stamp the entire front of the card, you kind of get the idea. Also, as you can see, I'm literally just eyeballing it here. I'm not using a ruler or grid lines or anything, and it just makes for a really quick, easy, fast, and fun card to make and mass produce. Now that I finished stamping the purple card, I'm just going to set it aside to dry because I did stamp it in pigment ink. And now I'll get started on this clustered pink heart card for you guys now. The inks that I'm starting out with this card are the Avery L pigment inks in Orchid and Raspberry. I'm also using Sukaneko's Brilliance Pigment Ink in Pearlescent Orchid. These three are so pretty all together. They're really nice shades of pink, and I basically use this combination in a lot of my cards. So I'm going to start off with stamping the front of my card panel with the little heart stamp in the Avery L Orchid pigment ink. And I'm going to just stamp it basically in a random pattern all over the front of the card. I'm going to stamp a little bit more heavily up on the top and then kind of just stamp a little more loosely as we go down towards the bottom, because I want to make it this design a clustered falling heart design, which does seem popular these days with all of the stencils and background stamps that are coming out these days, which I'm a total fan of. But I just thought that it would be a really nice video tutorial to show you how to create the same look with just this one tiny heart stamp. Now I've gone ahead and started stamping the second wave of hearts in Avery L's Raspberry. So again, I'm just going to use the same technique and stamp. I'm going to stamp a little heavier up on the top and then just a few as I go more towards the bottom of the card. After I'm done stamping the heart in the raspberry ink, I'm going to switch over to the pearlescent orchid pink color. So now at this point, there's a little less space on the card, so I'm going to just try to fill in some of the spaces with the pearlescent orchid ink. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but just eyeball it and try to keep it simple. Don't try to fill in every single space because we do want to keep the design somewhat randomized. And I do want to apologize that I'm going off camera a bit here. I didn't even realize that my card was shifting towards the bottom. Again, this is my first video that I am creating for the ton, and please just bear with me. I'm going to fast forward through the rest of the stamping for this card, and now I'm going to start working on the initial purple card that I made earlier in this video. I'm going to die cut this card using the Lawn Fawn's large stitch rectangle die set, but I'm going to use the second to largest rectangle because I currently use a Fiskars Fuse Creativity system, and it's kind of a beastly die cutting system, so I can't get it on camera. After I finish die cutting this panel, I'm going to pop it up with some foam squares onto my card base. The card base is just an A2 top folding card. It's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 size top folding card. But I also have to say that when I was filming this video, I actually messed up and I didn't get to finish filming the entire card. So the part that you won't get to see here is the stamping of the sentiment onto another piece of paper, which was die cut using a round die that I had from a Sizzix package. The sentiment that I did use was the Love You sentiment from our vintage frame stamp set. This is the finished card here, as you can see, but unfortunately I just messed up and I didn't film that portion of the card, and I really apologize for that. But again, please bear with me. This is one of my first videos. But I did film the stamping of the sentiment onto the pink heart cluster card. The sentiment that I used for this card is the same sentiment that I used for the purple card. It's just the same Love You that I got from the vintage frame set. The only difference is that I'm stamping the sentiment directly onto the card here as opposed to on another piece of cardstock and die cutting that and popping it up on the card like I did with the purple card. So for this card, I'm just stamping directly onto the card base. So it makes it a nice one layer, simple but fun and bright and cute card. The last step is to adhere the card panel onto the card base, and I'm just going to do that using my Tombow stamp runner, and I'm adhering the card base onto an A2 card panel. So it's just a regular 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding note card that I created using a regular 8 1/2 by 11 piece of cardstock. So that's it for today. My video consists of just making this pink clustered heart card and also the initial purple heart card. I do feature several other similar cards that I made in a batch on my blog, but thank you all so much for stopping by, and I really appreciate everybody's support the last few weeks, everyone's support and their encouragement and enthusiasm. So thank you all so much again for stopping by and watching this video. Have a great day, everyone.